Well, here we go again.
Old man Stauf built a house and filled it with his toys. 7 guests arrived one night. Their screams the only noise. Blood inside the library. Blood right up the wall. Scurrying round the haunted house. My, the guests took deadly falls. But brave young Tad climbed the attic stairs, facing many a fright. His sacrifice freed countless souls, released into the moonlit night. And while Tad's life perished with them, there's one thing you should know. Though he saved so many others, the house won't let him go.
Yes, we're back again. This is the 13th doll, a fan game of The Seventh Guest, to give it its full title. Created in 2019, somewhat by accident as I understand it. It was meant to be a little free game that fans of the series made under the name Attic Door Productions, but things got out of hand, as they do, and they ended up making the semi-official second sequel after Trilobyte's own efforts didn't make it off the ground, and they threw their blessing behind this instead. As you just saw, we've ditched the idiot Carl and his nonsensical adventure, and we're returning to Tad this time. He hasn't been having a great time mentally ever since his soul was ensnared in a cycle of reliving a night of murder in Stauf's mansion, so our story is going to join him at his new address of the Deepwood Sanitarium for the mentally insane. Not the Deepwood Sanitarium for the physically insane, because that's where they help fish people out of the river in Paris. Thank you to all these super sponsors for your continued support of my videos. Visit David X Newton on Patreon to join the ASCII Brigade.
31 years I've worked at this asylum.
We are going to be treated to a masterclass in FMV acting, just like the old days, but I'll summarise them as we go, and you should definitely play the game and watch these yourself, if you like that sort of thing. We open on a conversation between two doctors at the sanitarium, where grumpy old Dr. Thornfield is on the edge of retirement and he's showing the younger Dr. Richmond around. We learn Dr. Richmond grew up with his mother having episodes which made him want to study psychiatry and learn to help people. Dr. Thornfield scoffs at this idealism, saying he's wasted his entire career on this batch of hopeless cases, including the patient Tad Gorman, who still believes he's trapped in Stauf's mansion. He goes to disturb Tad from his sleep, but is stopped by Dr. Richmond and stomps off. Inside the cell, a spooky girl appears to Tad and reminds him that he left her and everyone else behind in the mansion. She wants him to go back there and make things right somehow, saying Dr. Richmond will help him. She says she has something to show Tad, but then vanishes without elaborating. After a moment, so does Tad, but I assume this is due to a compositing error. Afterwards, Dr. Goody and Dr. Grumpface arrive back at the offices. Dr. Richmond mentions looking forward to introducing modern hypnosis techniques to the asylum, but Dr. Thornfield rebuts him again, telling him they're all lost causes and to just keep them sedated and secure lest they drive him insane as well. With his exit, we're left to begin the game from here. And there's actually going to be a choice of characters this time round. We can be Dr. Richmond or Tad. I'm not sure if the storylines are completely separate or if they converge somehow, but we'll start off with Dr. Richmond and we'll see what happens. So this is how we begin. We have full 3D movement now, an upgrade from the flip screen motion of the previous two games, because it's past the millennium and we can do this now. And we're going to use this movement to explore our happy little asylum. So there's the patient wing. Has nobody painted this place for the last 5 decades? You'd think they could get someone in. There's a row of paintings, and I just got a notification that I've found one of the objects possessed with the spirit of entertainment. Oh, Would that be this creepy doll head? Oh, well. I'm sure they've got somewhere to be. Whoa, hello!
Why would anyone put this here?
Oh, good. We've got a creepy doll head in our inventory. I'm sure... I was going to say I'm sure that's not going to come back to haunt us later, but it literally might. Just a wheelchair hanging around. Vital bit of furniture for all good asylums. Nothing happens with those doors yet. Right, and we have 2 doors we can actually enter. There's this one and this one round the corner. Let's take a look. Okay, this place looks a bit better. Actually, it looks the same, just worse in a different way. So that is one of those globe angle measure-y things. It's not an exact science. We have a globe. We have books, which I do not have to put into correct order. That's good. A few drawers. Let's take a look at some of these things. Yep, it works. And what do you call this? I don't know, but it's not giving up any clues. This, however, is a familiar icon. Dare we open this folder and take a look?
Tad Gorman, the patient from earlier. I wonder what's in his file.
Oh dear. The person needs to flip to the X. The arrows change the paper's direction. The paper can be forced to continue unfolding in the same direction. It has limited length, so it cannot be unfolded indefinitely. Click here for a hint. Okay then. Alright, we just keep going.
Don't feel bad. A lot of men can't do it the first time.
What is it with this series of games? You couldn't solve that puzzle immediately. Bet your penis doesn't work. Okay, so I assumed that I would have to carry on until I hit something, but that's not the case. It's when you're next to one of the arrows. That's when you can change your direction. So I've got to get to here, it looks like. I don't see any other way of getting to the X. And that's going to mean... what? Let's see what happens here. Ah, okay, so you fold them over each other. Alright.
Well, that must be very embarrassing.
Not until you mentioned it, no. 1, 2, 3, and up. And a bit more. And what can I do for... I could go that way. And have I used that? I have not used that one yet.
Well, at least you're street smart. Sesame Street smart.
Alright, that one was quite funny. Okay, if this keeps going and then I can push it upwards, that must be it.
There it is. How could a patient be driven to such madness? And what about the rest of them? I gotta find a way to get inside their minds to see what makes them tick. It's the only way I'll understand. There's got to be a way.
Well, that was an okay puzzle to start off with. It felt quite original. It wasn't Connect 4, which is always a plus. Not sure if it actually did anything to help me. But we can take a look through the other door and see if there's something equally diabolical in there. Alright. Good Samaritan Hospital, School of Nursing, from Hardly on the Hudson. Oh dear. Annabelle Vollmer has completed the regular course of 3 years of theory and practice as prescribed by this institution. From Paul Richardson. What's that? Oh. I keep on getting these little achievement pop-ups in the bottom right, which you can't see, but it keeps on giving me a pat on the head and a biscuit for every little thing. This was part of the credits, Paul H. Richardson, one of the people who made this. There's a bit I love in the original Silent Hill, when you're in the school and there's this huge painting of this satanic door on the wall, which is going to turn into a real door when you go into the other dimension. And Harry just says, well, I don't know who drew this, but it's in very bad taste. And I'm feeling a similar reaction to this. However, behind us there's yet another. Oh, here we go.
You must be Dr. Richmond. Marcus? Marcus Richmond?
Yes, but please call me Mark.
I'm Nurse Fulmer. Annabelle. That's an authentic Stauf puzzle. They were rare enough when he first created them, but they're even harder to find these days. They were all burned or destroyed.
Stauf. Dr. Thornfield mentioned the name, but didn't say much.
Really? Must not have been much of a tour he gave you.
Let's just say we butted heads a little.
I've only been here a few months, but long enough to know that I didn't always approve of his methods.
Well, I don't plan on continuing Dr. Thornfield's research. It's old and outdated, and I think the patients deserve better.
They do. Stauf was an entrepreneur. Built an empire designing dolls, toys, puzzles like that one. Then people started dying. The children who held the dolls, people who played the puzzles. They said the dolls, the toys were cursed, and then blamed Henry Stauf for those deaths.
That's absurd.
He built a mansion up north, then vanished. Haven't heard a word from him since.
Well, I'd skip town too if it meant someone was coming after me with torches and pitchforks.
It makes sense. Nevertheless, that's what we're dealing with. You'll hear a myriad of Stauf stories around here.
So, if I play this puzzle, will Stauf's curse get me?
At your own risk, Doctor. At your own risk. I'll leave you be then, before it gets me too.
Well, they do have a bit more chemistry than Robin and Jim Dreamboots did in the last game, but so does an elementary school volcano built out of newspaper and bits of toilet roll. Let's have a look at this.
This should be illuminating.
Okay. That rotates all of those. Does this rotate them all the other way? It does. What does this do? Okay, that's good. What does this do? That's fine. Okay, we've got the controls sorted. What do I need to do? What am I doing? Does this need to connect through to here? Well, it can't if I'm just wanting to use these wires here, because I can't... that'll point off into nowhere. So if the connecting rods also count as wires, then I could do worse than turning this in this direction. Oh, you can move them! I wonder if I have to use them all. If you tilt one row that way and then move it and then tilt the row the other way, then you've been able to move a single piece. And that's going to be very important, I feel. That's the wrong way. Let's do that again. And that goes down there, and this goes round.
That's how it's done.
That's it.
Congratulations,
Oh no, it's you again.
my dear player, for solving this first of my special puzzles. Each puzzle will reveal to you a uniquely palpable piece. And when you've successfully solved all my clever puzzles, these pieces themselves will come together, unite, to combine and form my greatest work. The pinnacle creation of my career. I'll be hoping to meet you soon, dear friend. in the flesh. Yours, Henry Stauf.
In the flesh? Bizarre thing to say. I wonder if there are any more of these puzzles lying around here.
I wonder. So you might have noticed by now, I've had to fiddle with the volume a lot during editing because this game's dialogue is tuned to suit the preference of people with severe hangovers and migraines. I've just put the music volume all the way down, dialogue volume all the way up, and we'll see if that fixes it. Yeah, so quite wonderfully, they got the actor who played Stauf the first time round, Robert Hirschberg, I think you pronounce his name, and he came back for this, so that's wonderful. I also noticed he had a writing credit at the start of the game, which I don't think he did for the other two, but honestly, as long as the people who wrote the 11th Hour aren't involved with this, that's really good. When we leave the room, we get another FMV, where Dr. Richmond reports his survival of the puzzle. He asks Nurse Fulmer about the horrifying doll head he picked up earlier, and she says that it belonged to Tad, but Dr. Thornfield had hidden it because Tad was obsessed with it. Dr. Richmond says he wants to start rebuilding trust with Tad, starting with returning his head, and Nurse Fulmer leads him to Tad's cell. Inside, Dr. Richmond hands over the doll head and tells Tad that he's going to prove Dr. Thornfield's assessment wrong and heal him. He says that in his opinion, they can start the process by revisiting the site of his trauma. Tad seems very apprehensive, but doesn't disagree. Outside the cell again, Dr. Richmond repeats his plan to Nurse Fulmer, citing an emerging technique in mental health studies called exposure therapy. And I was surprised to discover that this does roughly line up with the real-world timeline. The game is set somewhere in the 1940s, and exposure therapy in the real world started to be studied seriously around 1950. She asks him if he's absolutely sure, but as he holds her hands in a patronising 1940s sort of way, he explains his confidence. So Dr. Richmond and Tad leave the sanitarium somewhat unwisely in the dead of midnight, but he lights the way with his glow-in-the-dark teeth. After an unspecified distance, they encounter something strange.
Stop the car, quick!
Did you see that? Tad, wait!
Well, that didn't go great, did it? Let's see, is there anything useful in the car first? Not especially. Bin bag. Ladder. That's not a ladder, is it? That's just a shiny bit of wall. This alleyway gives us a boarded up door and a puzzle. Is it the time to do a puzzle? Well, we've always got time to do a puzzle.
One by one, everything will slide into place.
No, it won't. Right, that was surprisingly easy.
Nothing can stop me now.
Pretty unremarkable puzzle. The idea was that the shapes could slide, but they could only stop when they hit another shape. But that didn't really seem to matter. It was a really simple matter to just slide them all out the way. Anyway, we are in... Oh, great, a creepy mannequin. Let's talk to you. I got an achievement, again, for clicking on things called Snooper, but nothing else happened. There's a paper here I can put my teeth on. Lisa Goldstein. And I can see from here it's just Laura Mitsum. What's this say? Sarah is not best? Don't know what that says. There's a book left on this chair. The Way of Evil Minds, by nobody in particular. What's this the skeleton of? Lepus Europaea. I don't know what that is. We also have some butterflies, which I do recognise, but I'm not sure if they're going to come in useful. Moving to the desk now. Murdered by Stauf Toys.
These articles. Absurd. How could any rational person believe these lies? How could an entire town believe this? No, Tat, wait!
Oh well. Thank you to everyone listed here for supporting the creation of these videos. Please visit David X Newton on Patreon to join the community, see videos earlier, and get some bonus content.